How on earth do you approach something of this size for the Gaiety Theatre?
With planning. Yeah, this is a huge show. It's never been done before in Britain. And it actually this has been a year of my life, or just over. This was being planned while we were kind of getting ready for Shrek, because it's a build from the ground up. So there was no scenery, so I had to design a set. It's being built by a brilliant builder called David Walton, a set designer and builder across in England. It's never been done in Broadway. It's been done in America, and it was the Disney company. They basically wanted to try and develop a bit further. So it's kind of, there's nothing really to look back to, but that's wonderful, because it's the freedom now to just really go from a blank slate and build up, which is amazing.
Exciting. Now you say build up. Are we going to have cathedrals and all sorts on stage?
Well, you can't have Notre Dame without the bells. And there's a few things, the rose window and things like that, which are kind of iconic. So yes, the whole feeling, I hope, is when people walk in, we want it to be breathtaking. And I think we've got that. I think we have. We'll have to see. It's not here yet, the set, so we'll see. But it's a very different show, very different musical to anything before. It's so beautiful, and I think hopefully it's something that is very different to that kind of musical. It's not a standard kind of we say some lines and now we sing this song, we say some lines. It flows so quickly and so well, and it's actually narrated the entire way through by the congregation, the chorus, effectively.
Yeah.
And that's massively different.
They have to multitask, don't they?
They really do.
Congregation.
It's not a case of you can go and have a chat in your dressing room and come back and just come on and fake talk. It's probably almost like a leading role for them, which is wonderful. It's brilliant to get that opportunity. So yeah, a very different show, and but I think possibly it's probably my favourite one I think I've ever been involved with, I think.
And I'm guessing there's a lot of colour and light in there, light and dark, I'm guessing, in this. Just remind people a little bit about the story in case they don't know.
So Victor Hugo, who also wrote Les Mis, the book, not the musical version, but the book, he also wrote Hunchback of Notre Dame, the book. And it is his book is dark. It is a real look at society, and actually it's quite shocking how society hasn't changed. It's looking at how we can be cruel to different people, and why we're cruel. And the biggest thing I think from that is there's no villain in a sense in this show, whereas you kind of have that's definitely a villain. It's very clever because it kind of shows that actually it's people aren't villains. They're just people can do monstrous things, and that's where the kind of dark elements come in. Poor Leah has probably one of the most beautiful female lead parts, and actually you could argue it could be her show in a sense. But she's basically thrown from pillar to post by a horrible man in Frollo, the kind of archdeacon. It gets kind of the friendship from Quasimodo, and then has a bit of a romantic side with Phoebus. So she's kind of, there's a love triangle going on, but she, bless her, is in a very much a man's world at that time, 1482, not much in sense of rights and things, and she is a gypsy, so that also throws in that kind of background of how she's viewed and abused almost. And it's in a sense her trying to find a place, a home, and just for the song Someday, which is a beautiful song, kind of shows that hope for a better world, a better future where we all respect each other and we're not trying to be one-upping each other or putting other people down. So that's a very kind of difficult role actually, but beautiful role as well.
Well, let's come to you then, Leah. You are one of the Esmereldas.
Yes.
That is quite an iconic role to play. How did you feel when you found out that you had got this role?
Oh, I was over the moon, like really, really over the moon. I haven't performed in quite a long time. So it took a lot of guts to kind of say, right, I'm going to go for this. Because I think, I wanted to settle in back to the island life because I have just moved back from London. So I sort of was like, right, I'm going to give myself some time just to settle in. But, what better way than, to reconnect with people who I haven't seen for a long time, and to get back doing what I love and just, utilising those skills that I've worked so hard for, I guess, as well. So, yeah, so getting that phone call from Dorsey saying that I'd got the part was like, wow, I was really, really really, really proud of myself, to be honest. But yeah, and then obviously we have Vic Wilde, who's playing understudy Esmerelda as well. And we're like a little team together. You know, she's doing 2 nights, 2 performances. And yeah, so we work well together. We just kind of, you know, she has a go, I have a go, and we sort of bounce off each other as well, which is really nice.
And,
so, yeah.
you know, Dave was just saying there that he sees Esmeralda really as being the key character in this entire show. I mean, do you feel the pressure of that?
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, she is. She's the driving force of the show. Obviously, we have Quasimodo, who without him, it would not be a show.
We wouldn't have a Hunchback.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, she is, and she's so brave and courageous, and she sort of fights for what she believes in, and fights for the Romany gypsies as well, which is really, really, you know, really brave of her. And yeah, and obviously she has her romantic side with Phoebus, and you know, the sort of sentimental, compassionate side with Quasi as well, which is really lovely to play. With Jonathan and Liam as well, yeah.
When you take on a role like this, I mean, you obviously know her character inside and out. Do you take a little piece of the characters with you after the show?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, I've learned a lot from her, to be honest. You know, to stand up for what I believe in as well, and to say no. It's okay to say no if you want to, if you don't want to go along with something. And yeah, I think, yeah, I've just definitely taken a lot from her and learned a lot from her life as well. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so we are now going to come to the Hunchback in the room. We've got Jonathan with us, who is playing Quasimodo. How do you become Quasimodo?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's been a long process, to be honest. I think where I started is a long way from where I am now, in a good way, I hope. It was just the challenge I was after, really, at first. I think initially I looked at Phoebus, and to be honest, at the time I thought he was a bit two-dimensional, but now I see Tony doing it. I think not at all. He's a complex character, but I wanted the challenge, the physical challenge, and the songs are so big. And yeah, I got it, the challenge. I don't know, there's a lot of physical stuff we've had to do. DCU have been really good to look after us, you know, because you could hurt yourself doing some of the stuff we're having to do. But
so do you get to sort of like fly around the stage a little bit and jump around? And
yeah, we will do, but we haven't quite got there yet. So yeah, we jump off chairs a lot, but yeah, it's a very physical role, but it's complex because we were saying just before. A lot of times you play characters and they're either one thing or another, but Quasi has to go through so many emotions on his journey. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's been great. Really enjoyed it.
I mean, you've gone from donkey to Hunchback. That's quite the transformation.
I know. I think I'm slightly concerned as to what comes next. A donkey to a Quasimodo, but
where do you go after that?
I know. But no, it's still evolving, to be honest. But
and there must be quite a visual transformation for you as well. So I'm assuming you have a Hunchback that you have to sort of add.
Yeah. So I've got a stunt hunch which we've been using. Initially, I started off tying myself into a position where I was forced to hunch, but I've gotten rid of that now, like on David's advice, because it's a bit more fluid without it. But yeah, it's well, tonight we're trying prosthetics, and so it's going to be. The thing is, like we've discussed this earlier, you don't want to go over the top because people expect to see something from the Hunchback, but if you do it too much, it's either going to make people laugh or they're going to be you played that a bit too much. It's subtle, but you'll see it. Yeah.
And go on, David.
Well, I just think the beautiful thing about the characters are, I think originally a lot of the actors were trying to drop quite heavy characters in it. It's like, you know, I'm playing Quasimodo, so therefore I must be this. I'm playing Frollo, so I must be dark and things. And actually, the beautiful thing is, it's not the Disney cartoon. It's more focused towards the book, and therefore the characters are real people. So you're really looking at really quite 3D characters in terms of you've got Quasimodo who's led an abusive life, and this is where the darkness side comes in. You know, he's been effectively locked away, and that kind of rhetoric driven into him of him being deformed, being ugly, to try and keep him locked away by Frollo. And Frollo's doing that to kind of, for his own pride, to kind of keep him out of sight so he doesn't get connected with him. and kind of keeping his status. So it's for the actors, it's actually extremely difficult to think of the kind of the how it flows and how it changes throughout. It's a roller coaster for them. Their emotions are changing so much, especially when Quasimodo meets Esmerelda. You know, for the first time in his life, there is actually a pure kindness there. Somebody who actually doesn't want anything from him, isn't trying to kind of abuse him or control him. And that sense of freedom then is the real catalyst for Quasimodo to just kind of want to escape and want to see the world and be there as well a bit more and help people and start to question almost his abuser and you know, and starting to see what Frollo is really like.
You are living and breathing this, aren't you?
I have. You know, honestly, it's been a lot of work. You know, it started with reading the book, and you've got to understand to show the characters and for the audience to connect with them. We have to show the real people. This is a show. It's amazing how quickly this show goes. You sit there and you start, and the next minute it's like end of Act 1, and you just do not know where it's gone. And we've done that also through how we've set it and how it moves through from scene to scene. That helps, but actually it's just the pace of seeing these characters, and there are beautiful funny moments. You know, there are parts where you're absolutely wetting yourself, and then the next minute, you know, you suddenly realize you've got tears coming down your face, and that's the beauty of the writing, the beauty of the subject matter and things. And I think that's where people are really going to enjoy it.
Do you feel a big responsibility here? Because as you say, this hasn't really been performed very much at all.
It is. I'm very lucky, and I keep kind of waking up and saying this. You know, people talk about it all the time, but we are on an island with a theatre like the Gaiety Theatre, which is just astounding and unbelievable, and people don't entirely still get that, I don't think. But the other thing is, you know, we're with a society with the Douglas Screen that's been around for over 125 years now, and they've worked to get that kind of ability to get to the stage where we can be building our own scenery, we can be bringing in the best costumes, and that's from, you know, past support from the public and things like that. But it does put pressure on because, you know, they're using a local production team now, and I'm very grateful to been asked to be involved in that. But you learn from past directors. But yeah, you know, the book ends at me. If it's a bad show, it's the director's fault. If it's a great show, it's everybody else, and that's how it should be. You know, you kind of want people not to notice how good it is in a sense. You also kind of want it to wash over them. I kind of keep using the swan analogy and this show is that. You know, it actually is so difficult, but it looks easy. And as long as we get that, we know we've done right. But yeah, you've got to invest. I think if you're not invested, people won't believe it. I think.
And Leah, having come back now, just listening to what Dave was saying there, have you noticed that the sort of the standard has upped since you've been away? Do you think that we've upped our game here with regards to production?
Massively, yeah. Like just comparing even like the auditions and stuff like that, you know, I went in and had to learn, I think it was 2 songs, 5 scenes. You know, it does definitely have similarities to across auditions and stuff. I was very nervous at the auditions. But yeah, so definitely. And also like the cast is just so incredible. I don't think there's one weak link in the cast. The congregation, like as you know, Dusty said, they do carry the show as well, and there's lots of sort of physical theatre elements in there, so it all does flow, and they are on the majority of the time. And you know, heaven forbid, touch wood, a COVID situation was to happen. I know that we're a massive team, and you know, someone would step in. You know, we've talked about, you know, if you're not on that scene, think about learning those person's lines, and everyone would just pull together. Like it's really lovely.
It's
to
a
be part
family.
It is definitely.
Yeah. And we talked a bit about the staging before with Jonathan. Just how important is it for you to have that atmosphere created for you on stage when you're playing something that is quite sort of otherworldly in a character?
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene which is really unpleasant, to be honest, when he's out in the square and he kind of gets there's a mob surround him, and yeah, we've been saying for a while, you know, people you feed off people's energy, and it's hard for people to be nasty, but when they do, it's very uncomfortable, which makes you know, do your part a little bit better, but. Yeah, the congregation and the cast are so strong. It makes it easier for you, because when you're like, even if Quasi's on his own, he's never on his own because he's got his gargoyles and his statues, and the guys doing the gargoyles and the statues are brilliant too. So if you're thinking of something and giving a line, and you turn around, there might be 3 gargoyles giving you stuff back, and that's brilliant. Yeah, it's really good. It's much easier for you then, and everyone just raises the game then, so it's good.
I've got to say, I'm really excited about it. It sounds so good. So Dave, just let us know then, when is it on and how can people get tickets?
So it's really close by. It's we open on Friday the 11th of February, and it goes on to Saturday the 19th, and it's the usual box office number 600 555 or the website. So
and there's a bit of a special for Valentine's
There
Day.
is. So if you're quick enough, though, because it isn't on for a long time, but if you're quick enough, gentlemen, this probably goes out to you because it's your job to sort Valentine's, I'm sure. So rather than just kind of a meal, I think, get those tickets. It's 2 for 1, I think it is. So you can go and bring your lovely other half to watch an amazing musical.
Oh, and Jonathan, I have to ask, do you get to do the immortal line, saying the name? Do you get to do the Esmerelda line?
Yeah, and the bells as well.
And the bells,
There's a bell in there, yeah. When you say playing Quasimodo, people look at you for a minute. They're trying to work out a funny joke, and if they can't think of a joke, they just go, the bells. Like, 300th time
Was that
I've
a
heard
sneak
that.
preview?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Hopefully, it's slightly better than that.
Wonderful stuff.